Hello, hello. Welcome to Wesam's World. Before we start, I just want to say a big thank you to all of our new subscribers on YouTube. We've got a big influx this week, and I just want to say thank you so much. If you're listening and you enjoy the show, hit us up on YouTube, on Instagram. Peyton's dropping stuff all left and right because he's excited, and I'm excited too that we're growing. We're growing as a family. Are you doing okay there?
I got it.
All right.
I got it. There it is.
How you doing, man?
Doing good.
Now, I want to make a note. We recorded this episode on the 31st, so it's a few days before the election. So that's why we haven't brought up anything about the new president, because we don't know who it's going to be. And so don't think we're just blatantly ignoring the fact that either we're going to be in the current state of poopiness or a new state of poopiness. So, yeah.
It's going to be poopiness.
Yeah. Poopiness to the left.
It's just going to be poopiness.
Or poopiness to the right.
Which one do we want?
Yeah, that's the way it is. But I'd rather take the left poopiness, for a change of taste for just a little bit.
That's right.
Yeah. We've had the same poopiness for 4 years. Let's change it up a little bit, Yeah. Yeah. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good.
Yep.
Sorry. I'm trying to focus on switching cameras back and forth, and then I realized I kept the camera on me for too long, and I didn't switch it back to you. When I'm trying to talk and do the camera switch, it's a new trick I'm going to have to teach my brain.
Yeah, you're smart.
I'm trying.
There
we go. See, now I figured it out. It's back to you now.
And then back to you.
Then it's back to me.
There
we go.
Super excited about our guest today.
Yes.
I'm going to introduce him here in a little bit, but I wanted to check in with you. Everything going good?
No.
No? Okay.
No.
Okay. You're going to a drive-in movie theater today.
I am.
To see Halloween.
That's right.
That's exciting.
We got the divorce papers. We got...
You're going to sign it at the drive-in?
At the drive-in.
That's before or after the movie?
During the movie.
Okay. Why during?
Because it's one of her favorite films, and then I'm just going to whip them out, and I'm just going to ruin it.
Dude, that is ice cold, and I love that even though this is a bit, that you were like, I would ruin somebody's favorite movie by doing this.
Because they ruined me.
Yeah. You ever see those things? Oh, we have ghosts in here.
What?
Yeah.
What'd you hear?
I don't know. I heard little footsteps. You ever see those things where it's somebody's birthday and they surprise them with a box full of all the times that they've cheated or something like that?
I love those.
Yeah.
I love those so much. I've seen one where it let rose petals. It led to the bedroom, and it's just like text messages. It's just like, ha, gotcha. I love them.
Yeah. It's pretty bad. Hey, guys, I'm really excited this week for our guest. His name is Kevin O Brien. He's a childhood friend, but he's also the QA manager at Riot Games.
Not Q&A.
No, not Q&A.
Not Q&A.
QA manager. He was a video game tester there. He was also a lawyer, but he pursued his dreams to work in video games. Mm-hmm. And dude, this guy it was such a great guy. We talked for over 2 hours.
2 hours.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And he has an older brother, Joey O'Brien, who's my best friend from back home. And I got to say, this episode was much better than the one I did with Joey.
Sorry, Joey.
I'm kidding. You know why? Because it was Skype, Joey.
Whoa, I just cut to camera 3. Didn't mean to click that button. They're staring at a black screen right now. Boop. We don't have a camera 3 right now.
I promise, guys, the episode gets better. So stay tuned. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Kevin O Brien. Hey, Kevin, thanks for coming on the show, man.
Well, thanks for having me.
Such a natural transition.
Yeah,
wouldn't you say so?
Yeah, it feels completely natural. Yeah.
I still like Peyton, even though he didn't.
Despite recent events. Yeah.
I feel bad because you wanted things perfect.
Yeah.
That's okay.
But is it that you care about him because he makes things perfect or because he desires to make things perfect? Right?
Both, usually.
Oh.
I can never achieve perfectness. I always try. I never succeed.
Yeah.
That's life, baby.
That is life.
Wouldn't you say so, Kevin?
Perfectness as opposed to perfection. Yeah. It's emblematic of the statement.
For our listeners and our viewers, just a little bit of backstory. You are the younger brother of Joey O'Brien, who was on my podcast months ago.
Oh, he was on the podcast? I didn't know that.
Did you not know that?
You got to send it to me.
Are you serious?
You got to send it to me. I didn't know.
He doesn't share it because he's not on social media.
How would I find out? Where would
Exactly.
you share it? Yeah, like send me a smoke signal. I don't know.
I don't know, but can I be? This is real talk.
Okay.
And this is not a bit. And
Okay.
this is not a joke.
All right.
I think he works for the CIA.
Yeah. Well, you know,
You're not denying it.
it's actually really plausible because the way they work is they set people up in like I actually once was gonna try to work at the CIA, and so I learned a lot about it. And they like set people up in a shell corp, but you'd have to say it wouldn't be CIA, it'd be FBI,
FBI?
because CIA is strictly outside the U.S. And since he's here, unless he's not actually here, I've been to his house.
Dude,
Could be a
he's-
fake house.
Dude, I think he's sketch.
I could see it.
No social media. Lives in the woods in Colorado.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, I mean, he lives in the city.
I know, but I like saying he
He,
lives in the woods.
he wants to live in the woods, but yeah.
No, you're the younger brother for Joey O'Brien.
Yeah.
We've known each other since high school.
Yeah.
And you have such a great story because whenever you were going to college, you were studying to be a lawyer, correct?
Yeah, so I went to college. Well, I kind of went to college and I picked a degree that would include studying abroad because I wanted to do that. I didn't really care what the degree was, which was international studies.
Yeah.
And I was getting towards the end of it, and I was looking at like, okay, now what am I going to do? Like, what job? Who wants to hire someone with an international studies degree? What does that even mean? And I did some research, and I found out that basically everybody that was graduating with this degree either went to work for like the State Department, the CIA, FBI, or they became lawyers. And so I decided, like, I set some arbitrary number on the LSAT where, like, if I exceed this number, I'll go to law school, and if not, I'll go work for the State Department. And I exceeded the number, so I went to law school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you actually passed the bar.
Yeah, I was an attorney.
You smart guy. Smart guy.
Sure.
No,
okay.
no, you smart. You
They
smart.
passed the bar.
Yeah, that's hard.
That's some measure. Yeah.
And I'll tell you why it's hard because I tried to, and it's not the same test, but we got to have a bar exam question here at some point. I tried taking the MCAT. Like I tried doing
Oh, yeah.
10 questions from it. Oh, I couldn't have failed more.
It's
if
a
I
lot.
tried.
It's a lot of memorizing the bar. Like you had to memorize for the Texas bar. There's like, you have to memorize when a response is due to like a lawsuit, and it's not like something simple, right? It's not like 3 weeks. It's like the first Monday. That's the 23 days prior or following, and like at 10 a.m. or some like really specific thing. And you had to write that like exact thing word for word, or else you wouldn't get the point.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's a lot of writing. It's not multiple choice.
It's a lot of memorization. There's parts. There's two parts. There's the I can't remember the acronym for it, but there's like the multi-state portion, which is all multiple choice, and that's like standard across the country. And then there's the like each state has their own like bit, and that's usually mostly like short answer and like essay answer type questions.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so the way it works is like if I pass the Texas bar and I'm a licensed attorney in Texas and I want to become a licensed attorney in California, I have to come take the California portion of the bar. I don't have to retake the multi-state portion. Yeah.
Yeah, but you passed it, and then you actually were you were at a job, right?
Yeah. I was an immigration attorney. Yeah.
Wow.
So I did immigration defense. So I helped people stay in the country.
Man, we could have needed you.
Yeah, it actually was really weird because when I switched into video games, it was like right after that Trump closed the borders to a bunch of like North African and Middle Eastern countries.
Yeah.
And tried to like mess with people, and I was like, man, I could have helped those people. But
Dude, thanks for pursuing your dream. You
Yeah.
know, I appreciate it.
this is more important. It's more important, right? Yeah. Yeah. It was
No,
weird.
you obviously didn't know.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I didn't know, and that,
Yeah.
Obama was deporting a lot of people too, so
Yeah.
it's not like it changed that much numbers wise. But anyway.
Well, that aside,
Yeah.
you actually, if I'm not mistaken, there was a position open at, was it Riot Games at the time?
Yeah. Yeah.
For a video game tester.
Yeah. So, I mean, do you want the short version or the long version of this?
Whatever you feel
Sure.
it would give the viewers and the listeners the most overall story.
Yeah. So I think people ask me this a lot on like Twitter and other places like that. They're like, hey, how can I get into the video game industry? How do I get there? And a lot of people have different paths. And what I always tell people is like, well, become a software engineer. That's the easy path because it's high demand. But my path was weird in that while I was at law school, I was looking for like a summer internship. You kind of do those every summer. And I thought, oh man, I'm loving this game, League of Legends. I wonder if Riot Games, the company that makes it, has any internships. And so I went and looked for internships, and they didn't have any law internships. but they did have a game design internship. And I was like, like, fuck it. Why not? I'm
Yeah.
going to try. I'm going to go apply for this. I ended up like doing a series of like interviews and like written questions, and they like called me on the phone a couple of times, and then they flew me out to their studio, which is in LA here in California, which to me was like an insanely big deal because every other job I'd ever applied for was, like a restaurant or something where you walk in and you say, hey, I'd like a job. And they say, okay, you come sit in some room with some dude smoking a cigarette or a cigar. And he asks you a bunch of questions about like, are you basically trying to get at, are you physically going to come into this building when you're supposed to, is pretty much the extent of the questions. And then you get hired.
Yeah.
So getting flown out for an interview and like all expenses paid was a big deal, especially for an internship. It really wowed me. Like I met a lot of people there and I was like, wow, this company is awesome. Like these people are so cool. This is really great. I'm really excited about it. And then I didn't get that job. And they kind of told me like, yeah, it seems like you're not that committed because you're like in law school and stuff and you have like nothing to do with this. And we have some other people who seem more interested. They're in like game type like college degrees, which is a fair assessment.
Yeah.
So I decided, hey, I want to give this a really fair shot. I want to try and get a job here. And so that's when I got on Twitter. Actually, it was after that. I went and made a Twitter account and I followed a bunch of gaming personalities and like gaming stuff and tweeted some random stuff about it for the pure purpose of creating some like social media background.
Yeah.
That would not make it look really weird when I then went to a Riot employee and messaged them and I was like, hey, maybe you can help me figure out how do I get a job at Riot, right? Which totally worked actually. And I met this guy, he's a really great guy. His name's Charlie, who was like super nice, right? I messaged him and he's like, absolutely. He like got on the phone with me and talked to me for a while about kind of the industry and what it's like. I ended up being a groomsman in his wedding.
Whoa.
Spoilers. But yes, I don't know. But yeah, anyway, so I spent like that year while I was still in law school, like kind of trying to like learn a little bit because my plan was like in a year I'm going to apply again. I'm going to try and get a QA position because quality assurance is kind of traditionally a little easier to get into from an entry level perspective. There's not as much experience required or specific skills. I hit my friend up and he said, yeah, I'll recommend you for a job. And I went in and I interviewed for it. They flew me out, I got the whole panel there to be a QA analyst. And I didn't get the job again. And so then I was like, well, all right, I guess I'll become an attorney. So I went and I took the bar and I passed the bar and I became an attorney. And while I was an attorney, I was kind of not loving it. Didn't particularly like my law firm I was working at. Mm-hmm. And it was getting pretty rote. A lot of the work is really rote. A lot of people think you see like a law show. I mean, you were in a law show, right?
Yeah.
And it's exciting. And there's different cases. And you got to figure out like, oh, how am I going to win this case? And the reality of being an attorney is that most of the time you're taking like the exact same document and you're copy pasting it and changing the names and changing some of the details a little bit. And that's like pretty much it. Because at the end of the day, like most people's cases are pretty similar, which gets pretty boring. And so I was like, all right, I don't know, maybe I'll look at another job here. Maybe Riot Games is hiring an immigration attorney. That would be cool. So I went and looked and I saw always wishful thinking, right? Like, I don't know, maybe they want an in-house immigration lawyer, which who knows, right?
Who knows?
I did not, and they didn't. So yeah, no, that was not a thing. But they did have this position, which is like playtest analyst. And I'm like, what's that? That sounds great. And it was basically they're looking for somebody who has like strong written and verbal communication skills, strong analytical reasoning skills, and they're very good at League of Legends. You had to be like diamond rating or higher at the time. And so I was like, hey, that's me. I can do that. So I reached out to my friend Charlie and I was like, hey, what do you think? Should I apply? And he the thing people do on like a social media where they've read your message and the little dots start going like they're typing and then they just stop. He did that to me. And I was like, okay. And I just like waited for a while and I texted my wife Summer and I'm like, hey, what do you think? She's like, you should totally apply. And I wasn't really sure. And then he comes back and he said, hey, like he called me and he's like out of breath. And he's like, he has asthma, I guess. He's like really out of breath. And I'm like, are you okay? And he's like, yeah, I just like ran and I went and talked to the guy that runs the team and I told him how great you are and you should send me your application by the end of the day. He said they're really looking to get somebody in like right away. And I was like, oh, oh, okay, I guess I'm applying then. He didn't even like say yes. He just like went and did it.
Wow.
Which is great. Like a really good friend, good looking out, you know. So I did that. I got my application in, went through the interview process again, flew out there again. Didn't tell anybody I was going at all this time. I literally was on the phone with my dad in the airport. And he's like, "Are you in the airport?" I was like, "No,
Love it.
no, I'm not." Because I was just like so tired of telling people I didn't get the job.
Yeah.
But yeah, then I got the call back, and they're like, "Yeah, we want you to come out. We want you to take the job." So that was pretty much it. And that was a contract position. So the job was to not like play the game for a living. That's like the fun way to say it, is like play the game basically. But like pretty much what the job entailed is they needed people who were very skilled at the game to play in development content, like new champions, new items, and help them kind of visualize and see how the 3-month to 6-month like curve of that thing would be in the game. So like when they're working on it in development, it's really hard. The games aren't super balanced because there's a wide variety of skill in the development team. It's hard to get a good picture of like, hey, is this balanced? Is this kit going to become like a problem for us down the line because this character is like fundamentally unfair or frustrating to play against, that kind of thing. And so part of the job of the people on the playtest team was to try to identify that early and be like, hey, I think there's a problem with your design. Like you want this character to feel like, you know, hard to catch and but like still catchable or something like that. And the reality is you can just never catch them. And that was kind of our job, was to identify those problems and help the team like hone their design. So yeah, that's kind of where I started.
That's incredible. First off, I gotta congratulate you on your tenacity and your will of just doing it constantly, even though it seemed there was moments of hesitation.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's so ballsy of you to do, and I love hearing stories like that because I think that's what life's about. You have to take risks like that.
Oh yeah, it's terrifying. I driving the car out like across the country. Like Summer at the time was a teacher.
Summer's your wife, just for
my wife. Yeah, my wife Summer. She was a teacher, and so it's kind of like, hey, you're gonna have to get like a new teacher's license certification in California. Come on, do that. You got to quit your job. She had a good job. She's doing really well at her school. And it's like, hey, I'm gonna move my wife and dog across the country. I had to leave like ASAP. They were like, hey, we want you out here as soon as possible. I'm like, cool, I'll be there in 2 weeks. And I drove her car across the country. I even had a tire explode on the way out. It was a good time, yeah. But I ended up like living in some people's living room for like 3 months until summer came out, so we could like get a real apartment. So yeah, it was good. And it's a big risk, right? Because you know my family, they're like, hey, you're a lawyer, you're set, right? You passed the bar. You're working at a law firm. You're on track to have like the house and the white picket fence and all the, you know, whatever. And I was just like, yeah, but I don't want to copy paste documents for 30 years.
Yeah.
So.
Which, if you like doing that, that's fine.
It's awesome. Yeah, if you like
it's
it.
soul-sucking, don't do it.
Some people have a really good skill that I'm very, very envious of, where they can have work like that and they can figure out how to find kind of, I think my brother's talked to me about this before, this like sort of joy in that rote type routine where you feel very like at peace. And then when they go home and they leave work, they have so much energy left at the end of the day. Whereas I think in an industry like mine, it's a very passion-driven industry, and you come out at the end of the day pretty tired. And it's a common thing that people talk about in the games industry is you work so hard on the game, you come home and you don't play games anymore. You just like lay on the couch and watch a Twitch stream instead because you're so exhausted, you're so drained, you put so much of yourself into the work that you're just like, I don't have the energy. Like there's so many games I've started this year that I haven't finished because it's just like hard to find the energy to do it. So it's like a trade-off. So if someone doing that rote work, I feel like they get that benefit, that their non-work time is like way like more valuable, I guess. So I'm envious of that sometimes.
You know, you hit on a couple of great things in there, and that there's that security of going to a job that has, you know, like, you know what's going to happen. Very little surprises.
Yeah.
It's kind of pattern. You got your lunch break. You got, you know, what work to do when, every kind of thing.
Yeah.
You're looking forward to your national holidays because you get, we got today off, or we get to go home early on Fridays at 3 instead of 5. Oh,
yeah,
okay,
you get your like Friday half day thing, whatever. Yeah.
And that's totally fine if you dig it.
Yeah.
But the trade-off is if you're not wired this way, that creative side, that challenging side, kind of is non-existent. And for me as a person, I need that. I need some kind of challenge, some kind of risk. Okay, this is a different problem or puzzle to solve every day, and that's why I love acting. Even though the safety net is not
It's like
there.
zero. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, it's not there.
Yeah.
But that keeps the fire underneath my ass, and I think that's so. It's so beneficial for me as a person because I worked in my family's restaurant. Remember that for a while. That could be monotonous.
Right.
And if you like that kind of stuff, cool. But dude, I was like, I can't do this. And when I came out here and served tables, I was like, I can't. I can't anymore. I can't deal with this anymore. So I think you definitely made the right choice. So kudos to you for that, and especially like your family, and that's a big pressure of you to try to. Oh no, you should stay in here, and you've already invested so much time into becoming a lawyer too.
Right.
So it's not just that like. Oh, it's
and money, right? Because you paid off like all the law school debt and everything, right?
I totally forgot about that.
Which was like all summer, by the way. So credit to summer.
Oh, by the way,
yeah.
I saw my brother's dental school debt today. I literally texted him back. It's just a number, just to get him like, don't worry, it's just a number. Don't.
So if he's watching this right now,
he's screwed.
It's just a number. Oh no.
No, dude, it was so funny,
yeah.
and it's really this is so sidetrack. He also asked me about credit cards because nobody really teaches you about which credit cards to get and like the point system and stuff. So we had a discussion about that. Back to you because I'm doing my best not to branch off on random things on this show.
No, it's good.
No, it's not. Trust me, we've gone off on random.
Okay, is this the thing? Is this the thing that you're holding him accountable to?
No, this is me.
It's
It's you. Okay.
Yeah, I was watching Guys Night episodes, by the way,
dude.
and I was like, oh my gosh,
We sound like psychos.
yeah, who are assholes to each other, by the way. But you're welcome to view the next one. I think. You know what?
You'll have to send it to me.
I might just do like a mini viewing Guys Night so people can watch.
You just gotta start sending. Do like a Zoom or like a Discord
in
viewing
person.
party. Oh, in
Break the
person.
law.
Oh, okay. Ooh, that's rebellious.
Let's go to the playtesting aspect of video games.
Sure. Yeah.
Can I say video game testing, or is that no?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
No,
video game testing, games testing, like
from a professional perspective, not like the general user, right? Because there's a difference. With what you get from both of those things.
Yeah, I mean, I guess there's like probably two things maybe to talk about. So I'm curious which one you're more interested in. One is like I would say like playtesting for the purpose of like finding the fun or like design type testing, and then there's playtesting as more of a like dog fooding, to use like the tech industry term, where you're testing your own software and making sure it's good. Those are kind of the main two types of testing.
Yeah. Let's talk about what you do first, then. The play testing for
what I did then or what I do now.
What you did then.
Sure.
So that way you can evolve into it. That's very difficult, and I haven't done it, but I can only imagine how difficult it is. Because, for instance, my brother is William, not the youngest one, is working on a music. He makes songs. He's a musician, a producer, and he let me listen to a piece he was working on the other day, and he was unsure about the ending. He was unsure about this, and then he showed me another variation of it, and I was like, "Dude, what are you doing changing it? It sounds amazing."
Yeah.
Why are you? He's like, "I think I'm too close to it."
Yeah.
So how do you not run into that problem? Because you're so into it, you don't want to like ruin the gold or the thing that made it so good at the beginning with overworking it to where it's something completely different. How do you combat that problem?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And I think, at least for Riot, that was kind of part of what the playtesting team was meant to answer. Because most game studios don't have a playtesting team. It's a very like a luxury for a studio to have. I think I've heard that Blizzard at a time had a playtesting team as well. But most studios don't have that. And so exactly what you're talking about is a challenge, that the design team might get like too close to the work. They might have a hard time identifying what's good. And what is a hallmark of a really good designer, I think, is that they kind of set out with objectives for whatever they're working on. They set out with goals, and then they try to sort of imagine like what things could I observe happening in the game that would represent that these goals are succeeding. And so what the playtest team would do, for example, is like, say you're a designer, and I'll use League of Legends as an example, so I'm sorry if this is too granular. But say you're a designer and you're working on a new champion for the game, new playable character, and you go to the playtest. And I'll use an example for a champion that I worked on, Tom Kench, which was this kind of like mythical river fish, kind of like Louisiana-esque demon character. And the idea was like, yeah, our goal is that this character is probably going to like play in this role, which is support role. We think that he's going to be really strong at fighting against this type of opponent, and he's going to be really weak against this type of opponent. And he'll do just kind of okay against these types. We would kind of define those types of gameplay that existed, and then you'd say, okay, the playtest team would then go and do like structured tests to try to either prove like the hypothesis or the null hypothesis of that case, right? So it's like if he says, for example, this character should be really good when you try it all in. You just like go all in against this character. It shouldn't work very well. He should be really resilient to that. And so we would set up a scenario, a contrived scenario, like League of Legends is a 5v5 game, but we would set up just like a 2v2 scenario. And we would say, okay, we're going to have players of relatively equivalent skill play this 2v2 out with this character included, and we're going to have them all in, and we're going to see how it does. Like, hey, how do you do? And we'll repeat that like 5 or 6, maybe. If you're doing just like a 2v2 like 10, 15 times, we'll just keep repeating it. And then we'll come back and we'll say, hey, here's our results. So you said that he should be good against this. Our results are that he is good against this or he is not. And so that was like, that's one of the ways you kind of attack that, is you have a very clear goal of what the character needs to be good at, and then you try to come up with scenarios to demonstrate or test whether or not they're good at those things or bad at things. Because you also want, I think, in design, anything that's, if you've played competitive video games especially, you can't make something that's always good, because then everyone just has to use that thing and the game becomes unfun. If you've ever played a game where everyone uses the same gun, like in a shooter, or the same character, that's a flaw of design where you've not created sharp enough weaknesses for a character. And so really the idea is like, what are the things this character should be great at? What are some things this character should not be great at? And then testing against that.
That seems very logical, and I love that. It's a very mathematical and formulaic approach to making something. So it offers that creative aspect in the very beginning. Like, okay, I want this character to be super strong against fire attacks. Like he has a great defense against them. Yeah. And so let's practice that. Let's see if I've engineered him, or the people who are on that team engineered this character. Sorry, I'm just kind of repeating just so I make sure I understand what you said. And so you guys will test that out, and then you'll give them the results. Yeah. Whether he was or not wasn't.
Yeah, that's kind of like the nuts and bolts of like a pretty basic, like this is how you can make a well-designed, purely from a gameplay perspective, character, right? Yeah. That's purely the gameplay. One of the things that's really, I think, extra difficult, and where a lot of the designers, and not just designers, but like the art team and everyone else involved in making video games, because there's a lot of collaboration involved, can really sort of show off a great design or a great video game, is when you're able to merge all of these disparate elements together to form a cohesive kind of unit or a cohesive thing. And so, like, to put it like an example to that, it's when you can say, hey, we're creating a character whose backstory is that they are a scrappy, tough, like kind of street urchin kid, boy genius. Is this you?
It's me.
It's you.
It's me.
So we're creating this character, and we want them to have that ethos, right? And so then you have an art team that goes and they come up with some concepts of like what that character might look like. And then the design team is coming up with what they call like paper kits, which is just literally on paper, what are some abilities that sound cool for that? So like, okay, so he's a kid genius, and let's say he has this ability to kind of rewind time to like win a fight because he's scrappy, and he, for whatever reason, came up with that. And then the narrative teams are trying to figure out like, why would a scrappy boy genius street urchin come up with some technology that allows them to rewind time? And so they try and start thinking about a story that's going to weave into this idea. The art team starts putting out concepts, and from those concepts, right, the design team is like, wow, we love this concept where he has this really cool weapon, or he has this cool hairstyle or whatever, and it makes us think like, wouldn't it be cool if he had an ability that tied into that, right? And so what if he does this thing because he looks like this? And they kind of all get into this like little stew of creation. And I think when all the teams are really firing on all cylinders, you have these characters that it's not just that gameplay that when you test it out and you say, hey, my goal is this gameplay. Did I get this gameplay? Which is very logical. It gets a little tougher where you're like, hey, do you feel like you're this scrappy kid? And so when I was on the team, sometimes you'd get a very simple goal, which is like, hey, from a mechanical perspective, this design should win against that design. And that's it. But sometimes it would get much more kind of wishy-washy. They'd say, you should feel like powerful in these moments. Or you should feel like, I want you to feel clever. And so like a good example, there's a character I'm referring to here. Anyone who plays League of Legends would probably guess his name is Echo. And that is a character I'm describing. And one of the things in his design very early is they had this ability where you'd throw out this sort of orb in the game. And if you were in it at the same time as it was like existed as an enemy, it'll stun them. And so you have a chance to hit them like for free. But the cool thing about it is that you would throw it and they wouldn't know where it was going to go until just a like split second before it landed. And so you could kind of feel like a big brain player, right, where you put it somewhere and you bait them to go into that location and then jump on them at the last second. And so all of these sort of elements of the kit for the character come to combine into this cohesive unit where like the design of that is fun, right? But part of the idea is like it matches the ethos of the character we're trying to represent. They want you to feel like you are that character, like, oh wow, I'm this clever kind of boy genius because I outsmarted my opponent. That's like the super clever design that I think only comes from a lot of collaboration. You can't quite do that logical playtesting approach for that.
Yeah. Well, what I find amazing from what you just said is there's so many similarities into creating a script.
Oh, I'm
into
sure.
A story.
Yeah.
The especially with the narrative aspect, but the why. Why is this character that I've just come up with doing this? What's his backstory? What's this?
Right.
Okay, cool. Maybe he does this. Oh, this is the moment you should feel powerful in it. It parallels heavily to script writing and character development. And especially from an acting perspective, if I get a character, I'm like, okay, why is this a character doing this in this moment with his father-like figure, even though it's not his father? Okay, they don't say that in the script. I've got to come up with it on my own. So it makes sense because then this should be a powerful moment in the script.
Right.
So that's so cool. That gets me excited because that's, I don't know, I've never really realized that with video game.
And I think this is a thing in video games, and I think it's probably a thing in film and like television as well, where in video games, a lot of the times from a player perspective, they're like, oh yeah, this designer, this person came up with this champion or this idea. Aren't they cool? Wow, they're the best, right? And all credit tends to go to the designer. I think in film, at least for me as a non-film person, all the credit tends to go to the actor or sometimes the director, one of the two, right? But the reality, I'm sure, is that there's tons of people who are contributing to this, very similar to games, right? Where maybe there's someone who's doing like the like setting up the stage, right? And the way they set up the stage is really important and actually changes the way that the actor might act the scene because they see the way the lights are set up and they're like, oh, you know, this actually, I'm getting this different feeling. And it's part of the struggle with all creative work like this is everyone has a different idea in their head, and you have to either coalesce those ideas into one thing, which is really, really hard, or kind of roll with what other people are doing, which is also difficult because you have to release control. And that's tough.
Yes. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I'm getting too excited about this. Absolutely. There is a balance that you have to achieve, and that balance changes with every project that you work on. For instance, if you're working on a Quentin Tarantino set, you just do whatever he wants because he has a very specific vision.
Games are like that too.
Yeah. And I think more often than not with a trusted director or a trusted writer or producers, I love it when they're so specific. Cool. This is what you want? Awesome. This gives me so much structure. And I can find little places here and there to put that Wesam twist on it. You know what I mean? But I can only imagine when you create a video game, there has to be even more of that structure, even more so than filmmaking, because I don't know, the virtual aspect of it.
Well, there's a whole technology aspect to it, and there's the complexity that, unlike a movie or a TV show, you can't write a storyboard for what players are going to do. right? The players are.
Say that again. Sorry.
You can't write a storyboard for what players are going to do in the game.
Oh, that's right.
It's purely interactive.
Yeah.
And so you're almost providing them sort of a sandbox to sort of play in, and that part, yeah, definitely makes things complicated. But there's really the technical limitation. I think is one of the biggest collaboration challenges.
Right.
Is that someone might have a vision for how this character's ability is going to look, and they think it's going to look really beautiful, and the artist goes and makes some really gorgeous thing, but then the engineering comes in and says, "Hey, we can't ship that. No one's computers can run that, right?" And you have to dial back your vision. There's a lot of constraints you have to work around.
Absolutely. And also, so I got a question for you then. Who is the head honcho whenever it comes to a game? Is it the director of the game?
So I think it's actually dependent on the studio. So, like, for example, on Valorant, Anna Donlin is the executive producer of Valorant. So she, I would say, is the head honcho. The Valorant team is very much, I would say, our leadership team is very much sort of a servant leadership style, where they're seeking to empower the team to like make good decisions and build cool content. And they're providing direction, but they're not, like, I would say, micromanaging really. As opposed to, I've heard, I don't know from firsthand experience, that Naughty Dog, which is really well known for games like The Last of Us and the Uncharted series, which are some of like the best single player like narrative story experiences in the market. Neil Druckmann is the sort of head of that. I would from an outsider perspective is what it looks like. And I've heard that they're very constrained in what they can do. That there is that vision, much more like Tarantino, right? There's this vision of what we're going to accomplish, and that's very necessary for the kind of game they're making. When you're trying to craft this narrative experience where you're sort of living through these characters' lives, and you have these different scenes and beats that you want to accomplish. Whereas in a game like Valorant, which is a multiplayer competitive game, you have to cede control out to the team to come up with what's going to be fun and exciting in the game. It's very hard for someone to hold like a vision for that on their own.
I'm so sorry, man. We might have to take a break. If that's cool, Peyton.
Yeah.
My eyes are killing me.
Yeah, you're kind of rubbing.
What's that?
You're rubbing them a bit there.
Yeah.
You got something in your eyes?
Maybe pink eye, Corona.
Pink-
We'll be back.
Uh-oh.
I'm kind of hesitant to bring this up,
Okay.
and I don't want anybody to steal this idea. So this is my copyright on this idea. If you want to work together with this, I'm down.
Don't think that's how it works, but go ahead.
I have an awesome video game idea since probably middle school, and I haven't been able to create it.
Okay.
So I need your help into making this a reality.
Okay.
And it might be an app, but I want to talk to the people at Riot.
Okay.
Who are your bosses?
I don't know if I can make that happen, but
Okay.
why don't you give me the idea and we'll see.
Yeah. Well, the bosses of Kevin, I think this is going to be very unique,
Yeah.
and there's nothing like it on the market, and it's a little absurd, which I like in video games. It's
Some
racing.
players like that. Yeah.
I'm going to say this.
Yeah.
I am so good at racing games.
Okay.
Mario Kart,
Okay.
Driver, the GTA driving portions. I am really good at driving games. Okay.
Okay. So you know your stuff.
What's that?
You know your stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
So I in middle school I was at the Tulsa Zoo,
Okay.
and I was like, oh man, this is like really cool. I don't know if you've ever been there. There's lots of pathways you go.
Yeah,
and
lots of
everything.
times. Yeah.
And I saw this lady with a stroller, and she had a baby in it, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it hit me. You have a racing game with parents pushing their kids in strollers, okay?
Yeah.
Through different levels. Like one level's a zoo, one level's a mall, one level's something else. Like they're somewhere in Antarctica, right?
Okay.
Or like a jungle level. And then they pick up power-ups on their way.
Okay.
The babies do.
Right.
And then you attack the other parents.
Yeah.
And the parents have to run, and they're running like really fast, obviously.
Yeah. So what's your this is a great start. This is a great start for a game idea. What's your key differentiator? What's your market differentiator that says to me as a gamer, buy my wacky racing game, not a different wacky racing game?
The parents will be all ethnicities and all,
So diversity.
sexual orientation, diversity. Thank you.
Diversity is your angle. You're like, I'm just gonna name diverse things, but not say diversity. All right, yeah, no, that works. I don't know if that's like more or less.
We're gonna
corporate.
have Asian babies, white babies,
yeah.
black babies, fat babies,
Every type of baby you could think
premature
of.
babies.
Yeah, sir, I don't think this is. I don't. No, just say it's a diverse landscape of characters. Okay, just use the line.
So many premature babies.
People are backstage going like,
Do the premature babies get like a power up, like they can vault longer distances because they're lighter, but they're not as fast because they can't maintain momentum?
Well,
like,
we're gonna have to play test it, Kevin.
Yeah. Okay. I'm just curious what the goal is.
but their stamina's not like as good as other babies.
Right.
Yeah, lower
right.
stamina. Well, the babies aren't the ones pushing it.
Defense super low with premature babies.
Right. Right.
Because, you know.
Yeah. Okay. So your key differentiator is you have a diverse cast of parents and babies.
Yes.
And the market you're shooting for is kind of like the Goat Simulator, Hello Neighbor, kind of like comedy, action, goofy game, Octodad, these kinds of games. I don't know if you've heard any of these games.
Right.
You're looking for that kind of market.
Absolutely. And I forgot to add this one portion. Remember Diddy Kong Racing? How you'd have a
yeah.
boss race, and it was usually that pig.
The crocodile?
Or
King
there's
Croc,
different
yeah.
bosses, I think, right?
Sure, yeah.
Yeah. Well, it would have this, and it would be a Karen and her baby.
Oh, and you have to outrace.
Yeah, the Karen and her
Karen.
baby. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's hard because she keeps calling the police
Exactly.
and saying you're speeding, and those people, they drive their babies pretty fast in their carts, and then
You're right.
usually profiling your baby,
Absolutely.
and that the diversity becomes a gameplay element.
Exactly.
Wow, that sounds. You should absolutely not make this game. What? That sounds like that. That sounds. I can just see. I can see the Twitter canceling coming your way.
No, it's not. It's all inclusive.
Okay. All right.
And and we'll make sure it's all balanced out with like stats with
Okay.
play testing. I
yeah,
keep saying play testing like I know the lingo all of a sudden.
Yeah, I don't think you want to include like racial bonuses and stats.
No.
I think that's,
I didn't say that. You said it. No, I'm kidding. No, I think that'd be a fun game.
Yeah, I mean there's definitely like a market for I think like kind of goofy, fun, play with your friends, party games that make you laugh. That's like a whole market of games, right?
Yeah.
And I think that if that's the kind of game you want to make, this is gonna sound like bad, but I think that the gameplay is not the most important thing about that game at all. And the most important thing about a game like that, if you want to really be successful, is you do need to have a good core game loop. It needs to be good. It needs to be fun. There's two types of success you can look for. You can look for flash in the pan success, or you can look at something sustained. But what you need to accomplish that either way with a game like this is you just need big social media influence. You need good marketing, but not necessarily traditional marketing. You need what a lot of games rely on right now is influencer marketing, aka getting people to Twitch stream, YouTube live, etc. your games. A recent example that tons of people are playing right now, and famously even Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez played with a bunch of streamers, Among Us, which is a game that's not, I wouldn't say it's goofy, but it's a fun little game you can play with your friends, and it's a great game. I'm not to like slight the game at all, but it's a simple game. It's pretty basic, and what made that game huge was definitely like streamer influence, right?
Right.
And so a game like yours where you want people to drive around and you ram carts on each other and the baby flies out of the cart and you got to go pick up the baby and put it back in, and that kind of stuff. I can already picture you get a lobby of streamers together playing that game, laughing, they're losing their minds because it's like hilarious. You're launching a baby out of a stroller and you got to go fish it out of a pool because you're in the zoo. Right. Maybe the monkeys come and grab the baby and carry it away. Whatever, right?
Yeah, they grab the parents by their hair.
Yeah, they're just kind of like slowing you down.
Yeah.
Streamers would absolutely love to play a game like that because it's really entertaining for their viewers, but you'd have to find a way to, and this is like something a lot of game studios I think get wrong, is you have to make that in an authentic way. Even though your end goal is almost inauthentic. And I don't know how, luckily for me, Riot's not in the business of doing that. We're in the business of making that really, really, you're going to play this game for thousands of hours, competitive game loop.
We'll see.
But something like that, you basically are like, hey, we want to make this game that's fun and silly and you can play with your friends. We really want streamers to play it. But that's not our only objective, because that's your only objective, it falls. And I've seen games kind of fall flat that tried to do that approach where they built in all these streamer integrations and all this stuff. But at the end of the game kind of, end of the day, the game kind of sucked, and so.
So are you in or are you out?
Didn't want to do it. I think here's the challenge is I'm. I can't add much value to a game like this. I actually have the wrong skill set. I had the wrong skill set. I'm not the person you want to recruit.
Such a
I can what I can give
diplomatic
you. I
answer.
can give you those industry connections. I can help you find the people that can help you out there. But my problem, and I talk about this with my managers from like a career perspective, I've boxed myself in. I'm an expert at testing and making big, competitive multiplayer games,
We'll see.
and that's it.
Dude, how surprised would you be a year from now? It's like becoming. It's the. Most,
I would not be surprised. I like
What?
genuinely think that a game like that, if the core game is like pretty fun, and has to be that right combination of like fun and challenging but goofy, I wouldn't be surprised to be watching a Twitch stream of that in a couple years. Yeah,
I would love to make it, but I don't. Maybe I have time now. I got to
you can
find
get started
some
yourself.
software engineers.
You don't need software engineers. You can make a game by yourself. There's a lot of great game engines out there. The Unreal Engine is a very popular one. It's very powerful. I think Unity is a little more popular for smaller indie games, in part probably due to licensing costs. But I believe the Unreal Engine, the way Epic runs that is that you can make and publish a game, and as long as you make under like X amount, you don't have to pay them a dime. They're actually, I think, pretty generous company. Riot actually uses Unreal Engine, a modified version of Unreal Engine for Valorant. We're a big game. We have to pay like licensing fees for that. But if you're a smaller game, you can just try it out. And the way that those engines are built, Unreal Engine, for example, uses a thing called visual scripting that you'd use to like build the game. And it's really helpful to kind of abstract away the code that's behind video games in a way that sort of non-engineer can visualize. And so what you can do is you basically have like, it has like a bunch of little like text boxes that are like describe a behavior, and then you kind of link them to other text boxes that you can kind of see the flow of how those like elements interact. It makes it a lot easier to visualize what's going on and to see when things are broken. And it has a lot of tooling support, so it'll tell you if you're doing something wrong sometimes. Like you like have there's little nodes that you connect, and it's like it'll flag up a warning and be like, hey, you're missing a node, like this thing doesn't exist. Those tools exist. Anybody can really get started trying to make an indie game. Obviously I don't expect to make a game and have it, pop off and be huge your first game. There's like stories about that, but it's very rare. But yeah, you can just get in and try it out.
I will say this: I can't wait till I have The Rock kind of money. Like Dwayne Johnson.
Yeah,
type
Dwayne
of,
Johnson, The Rock.
Yeah. That way, I can have like a team of people be like, guys, this needs to be made.
Yeah.
Who's in?
Who's in?
Who's in?
And then you just find somebody who wants to build it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That sounds fantastic.
Yeah. So copywritten. I've actually have it all already like copywritten and trademarked. So what should I call it?
I don't think you have much of a case there if someone steals your game. I'm not a lawyer anymore, but yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I got them both. Yeah.
Well, thank you for listening, and thank you for your feedback on it.
He's good.
And that's the whole reason I brought you on the show. So thanks for coming.
Get the fuck out. Leave.
Let's talk about some games currently that goes to Tsushima.
Okay.
We have Leonard Wu, who plays Rizu, coming on next week.
Okay.
Do you remember Rizu?
I'm only like 2 hours in the game.
Oh.
Right now, I've been playing a lot of the multiplayer, though. I need to
is
do
it
the
good?
campaign. Multiplayer is fantastic. It's addicting. I've been logging on multiplayer rather than playing the campaign.
All right, I'm in.
Right
Can
now.
we play multiplayer soon?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
I
fun.
didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah. It's you got your clan, right? Mm-hmm. And so you should play story mode just so you can talk to Leonard a little bit about it tomorrow. Ghost of Tsushima, I love samurai culture. I love that whole Bushido code. I love the martial arts involved with being a samurai, and that game really nailed it. Really nailed it.
Yeah, I haven't gotten to play it yet. I'm excited to try it out, and this kind of goes into what I was saying earlier. The sort of you spend all day making games that you're almost too tired to play games.
Yeah.
But I'm really excited to give it a try because it looks like the game is kind of Assassin's Creed-y in its gameplay, but with like much more focus on the aesthetics, I think. Like I've seen a lot of videos of the game, and it's just like beautiful. And what you're mentioning there about like this, it really nailing this samurai Bushido style. I don't know if you know that it's made by a Western studio. And there were famously some Japanese studios were like, man, like this game should have been made in Japan. Like we should have made this, but this studio like nailed it. And they were like, they're very, very proud, I guess. They're like, wow, you did a really good job of representing this. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's good that they responded that positively to it.
Yeah.
I will say this. It's so difficult creating an open world game, and I love open world games. And having the aspect of this like assassin or fighting elements, because I love Assassin's Creed for the most part. I think I love the whole series as a whole. I really do. Yeah. I was astounded when the first one came out. And especially because I'm from Syria and they had the level of Damascus. And I was like, what? This is amazing. And I wasn't a fan of the French one and then the London one.
What about the Italian one? That's everyone's favorite, right?
I liked it.
Yeah, Ezio. Everyone loves Ezio.
Are you being sarcastic or are you being serious?
No, I'm being serious. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Ezio had the trilogy. He had three games. Yeah.
That was great.
Everyone loved it. Yeah.
And I played
the
Origins,
French one was
which is good.
Apparently really buggy too. I heard it was one of the buggiest Assassin's Creed of all time.
Which one?
The French one. That was Unity.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I heard it was horrifically buggy. Yeah.
Almost unplayable.
You know they gave that game away for free when the Notre Dame was burning?
No. Yeah. That's weird.
Yeah. Because they had apparently in the game they had like a really, really detailed rendering of the Notre Dame. And so it's like hey, we're upset that everyone's like donating money and stuff, and they're like, hey, you can just download this game for free and go check out the Notre Dame in our game. Here you go.
Wow. Okay, that's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, the one of the problems though that I think the last two began to solve is when you get in a pattern, you kind of know how to like.
You know how to cheese.
What's that?
You cheese everything.
Cheese everything. What does that mean?
You do the exact, like in a fighting game, you have younger siblings, right? Yeah. So you probably played fighting games with them at some point. You know how you're trying to like do a combo, you're trying to really, get into the game, master the game, and your little brother just picks the character that can do a long leg kick and just does that infinitely and just never stops, and they beat you every time, and it drives you insane. You can do that. It's called cheesing, right? You can do that in single player games too, where you know exactly how to beat everything. You just do the same thing to every enemy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The first Assassin's Creed, it got like that, but there was no other game like it at the time, but so you didn't really care that much.
Yeah.
But with Ghost of Tsushima, it sometimes at certain points you're like, oh, I kind of know where this is going, but then you just up the difficulty and you're like, oh, okay, I can't.
Then it's fine.
Yeah, then that goes away quickly.
Yeah, the most recent game I played in that area was Sekiro, Never Die Twice.
Okay.
I quit. It was too hard. And I've beaten a lot of very hard games. I've beaten like Dark Souls games, and I was like, look, I'm in my 30s now. I can't do this.
Wow.
It was so hard. And the reason for that is like, and I don't know if it's like this in Ghost of Tsushima, but there's a lot of like countering required, like the enemy's about to strike and you got to like tap the button to counter.
Yeah.
In Sekiro, but Sekiro decided like, hey, what if you literally couldn't win the game unless you countered a lot? Like you literally can't. Yeah, and then they made that game, and that's Sekiro.
Wow.
And it's and the timing's really difficult. And they said, oh yeah, and we should make these counter types where you have to like visibly watch the way the enemy is swinging their weapon in order to do the correct type of counter, right? And so they made it extra challenging. Whereas like you're familiar with like Assassin's Creed, right? The enemy's going like this, and there's like a bright shine on their weapon, and you push the button and you counter it, and you feel like a badass. And then after 20 hours, you just like, you're unhittable. You counter literally every attack every time because it's a little too easy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sekiro said, no, fuck that. It's going to be hard. You'll die to the first boss going and replaying the game because it's just one of those kinds of games.
Wow.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's what they want, and then that's what
it's tough.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a tough game. I don't know. You're laughing. I don't know if you played it.
No, I don't touch games like that.
Yeah,
I don't
brutal.
like games that are just there to piss me off. That's their objective. Yeah. They sit down and go, how can we piss the player off?
Well, no, see, that's a very cynical take, but I respect it. But like the objective is to, for games like that, I think the real objective is, and we talk about this a lot at Riot, right? Is like games you want to know what kinds of players you want to play your game when you set out to make a game. And that's why when you're talking about your babies and strollers game, it's like, what kind of game? Okay, you want it to be kind of fun, kind of trolly and silly. You play with your friends. Now, what types of players want to play that game? Players who primarily play games to be social, players who play games to have fun, to relax. There's like a kind of big list of things you can think of that people play games for. Hey, I want to play for competition. I want to play for mastery of a skill. I want to play to collect things or to build things or to demonstrate or show off my skill, right? There's all of these reasons you might play games. And games like Sekiro are built for people who want that deep, deep sense of mastery and sort of overcoming a challenge. And really, you're playing it not for the 50 times you die to the same boss, but for the one time you finally beat them. And you get that big, like, adrenaline rush and, like, dopamine hit of, like, yes, I finally did it. But, yeah, they're not for everybody, for sure.
Yeah. You know, I've loved video games growing up. They've been a nice form of enjoyment and entertainment, and the more open world. I'm trying to remember what the first open world game I played. Probably Grand Theft Auto.
It's probably Grand Theft Auto, yeah. Or maybe Morrowind was another one that was big.
Okay.
Yeah.
I remember getting the PS2, and oh man, I played Devil May Cry. That was my first game on it, and I was like, whoa,
Yeah.
this is awesome. I feel cool playing this.
That was their goal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the sense of adventure and leveling up a character, that's always fun for me because you kind of grow with the character. One of the most magical games I've played, and it still leaves this eerie yet mythical, magical sense in me, Shadow of the Colossus.
Oh, yeah. That's the top of a lot of people's favorite games list.
And can I? Yeah. And I think I know why. It's like that for a lot of people, not just me. Because they give you the perfect amount of information.
Yes.
And the rest you create in your own mind.
Yeah.
And that grows so organically as the game progresses. I remember when I played it the first time, I was like, is my game broken? There's no...
What do I do?
Yeah, and I guess I missed the prompt for, like, use your sword as a guide or whatever. Because I'm like, where the hell do I... So I was traveling to places I shouldn't have been traveling. So I'm like, is this a glitch?
Yeah.
Like, but then as I'm going to these places, I'm like, okay, I got to figure out what to do here. This is huge. Yeah. And then when I finally figured it out and I saw the first bad guy, I was so invested into the game that I got scared and ran away. Like, I thought I had to run away from this thing. I didn't realize I had to fight it.
Right.
Yeah, and I think that's why.
You know, if you liked Shadow of the Colossus, I've played it a little bit. I did not finish it because I didn't have a PlayStation when I was younger, and so I tried to go back and play it. And again, this is after I started working in the games industry and I started playing it. It was really, really cool, but I was too frustrated. And I've noticed this a lot with games. You go back and you play an older game, and there's all these nice things that game developers have figured out in the past, decade or whatever since this game came out that they just didn't do, right? A good example is, like, a lot of people are very fond of, good childhood memories of playing, like, Mario 64. Like, oh yeah, Mario 64 is a great game. But if you sat someone down in front of Mario 64 today who'd never played a game like that, the first thing they would probably react is like, this camera is infuriating. Like, why is the camera so horrible? I can never see, right? And that's kind of stuff they figured out. I always notice that when I go back and play older games. So I wasn't able to get through Shadow of Colossus, but I can definitely see where you got that, like, that sense of awe from, like, the world. There's another game I would recommend that it is not open world. It's very linear, but it does share some notes of what you're talking about, and it's called Fury. Furi. It's made by a French studio, like an independent French development studio. I don't know if they're French or if they're Quebecois. I don't remember, but it's like probably one of my favorite games of all time. And the whole arc of this game is very similar to Shadow of Colossus in that it's just boss battles. There's no fodder enemies. There's no, like, platforming challenges really. It's just you are this sort of mysterious character. You are imprisoned, and you have to fight your jailers to escape. And there's like several jailers, and they're very sort of epic and mystical. Like you're in this kind of floating prison. It's not like a like a jail cell,
It's
right?
called Fury.
Fury.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna, while you're talking about it, I'm gonna look up pictures of
F-U-R-I.
it. Yeah.
And it's beautiful. They have this really, really beautiful cell shading, this cell shading style. Yeah. And the other thing about this game is if you like, what's it called? Like retro wave, retro synth music. Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
It has one of the best video game soundtracks I've ever listened to. I'm not sure if the entire thing, but a lot of it is Carpenter Brut, if you know the band Carpenter Brut.
No.
The soundtrack is so good, the way that it really hypes you up when you're playing and like has really good beats during these fights. And it looks insanely impossible, but this is something I was going to mention. It is that type of game that's really challenging and gets you that sense of mastery. But they have this really, really clever design in it, where when you're fighting a boss, you have like a health bar, like many games. The bosses have many stages, maybe 7 stages or something you have to beat. For each stage, you start out, you have your health bar, and you have these 3 pips under your health bar. And if you lose a fight, if you actually run out of health, you lose a pip, and you restart that stage of the fight against the boss. They get their health back, you get your health back, you try again. And if you run out of all of your pips, you have to start the whole thing over again. But if you ever beat a phase of the boss, you get all your health back, and you get a pip back. And so one of the things that's hard about the games, like Shadow of the Colossus was like this, is you get 75% of the way through the boss, and then you die. And then you got to go do all the stuff again that you already learned how to do. And then finally you get to that part of the boss again, and you die again. You're like, oh, fuck. Because it's like that's the hard part, right?
Yeah.
And it's kind of frustrating. And this game does a really good job of kind of making these little like tight loops where you have to learn that hard part. You figure it out, you beat it, you go to the next part, you have another tight loop, and you play it. So I think that design element is amazing. And then they have this fantastic soundtrack, and they also have this great narrator character that kind of moves you through a very mysterious kind of story and hypes you up for each fight. Like you're like walking towards the next like arena where you're going to battle one of these guys, and he's like the hype guy talking about this person's imprisoned you for years, no one's ever gotten past them, and like talks about how like badass this person is and how they've been keeping you in prison when your character is sort of that silent protagonist type. He kind of hypes you up while the music is kind of swelling, and I just want to go home and play it right now. I love the game.
Wow, I like that.
Yeah,
that's
it's
great.
So good. And the final plug on it is if you're like an average skill gamer, you can beat it in just like a week. If you're a really skilled gamer, you can beat it in a day. If you play like a lot of games like this, it won't be too hard to like chew through the whole game in like a day.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, you can speed run it in like an hour.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
That looked really cool. That game reminded me of whenever we were in high school and I would watch you guys play that
Geometry Wars, right?
Yeah, Geometry Wars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's got a mixture, and you didn't show it or anything, but it has a mixture in the boss fights of bullet hell. It's called bullet hell genre, which is what Geometry Wars is, where there's just like tons of bullets. You have to dodge the bullets. If you played like those like top down, those are called like Raiden, where you flew that like jet around. Those are bullet hell games.
Okay.
Yeah,
Raiden.
It has like that, and it also has more of like Ghost of Tsushima, where you have this like intense like sword fighting and like countering mechanics. It has a mixture of those things. Yeah. Huge fan.
Man. You recommended the Hades game as well, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah, Hades is really, really fantastic. Came out this year from Supergiant Games. They're really good.
I think there's another game called Blasphemy. It's an online platform.
I haven't heard of it.
Dude, it looks, it's so, there's like this world of, they almost look like Pyramid Head from Silent Hill, like the bad guy. And they have these, you kind of go through these levels, you fight like the minions and whatever, and there's like a little bit of story behind what you're trying to do. You're trying to get redemption, and you fight these insane looking bosses. And it's this whole universe, and I would love to know your opinion. Blasphemy, I believe.
Blasphemy? Yeah. I've
Peyton,
heard of it.
would you mind looking that up on your phone? I just want to make sure I have the name right on it. Yeah, and it's super.
That sounds cool.
I was watching gameplay, and that's actually one of the reasons why I started playing scary games, because I love watching people play scary games.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I think it would be entertaining if I did too. And it turns out it was.
Platformer.
Yeah.
Same kind of
Can I see?
Kind of thing. I don't know if you can see that.
Yeah. Blasphemous. Excuse me.
Oh, cool.
Blasphemous.
Yeah.
And yeah, I love suspending my disbelief. Peyton, on the other hand, does not get as scared as I do when we played Phasmophobia or any scary games.
So you there when Joe was playing? What's the name of the game? Condemned Criminal Origins. It was a horror game where he's like a detective going to investigate like different crime scenes.
I'm sorry, Mr. O'Brien. Yeah, your dad yelled at us one night.
Did he?
This is that.
Yeah. That game.
Oh,
So-
you remember this? Oh, I told it on here.
I'm not sure. Yeah.
You know the story?
Well, maybe it's a different story. I was thinking of a different time when I was playing with Joe and he was playing. He got so scared. We sat pretty close to the TV. He kicked the TV.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
No.
He kicked the TV. He almost broke the TV.
Oh my gosh, it was terrifying. The story that I have with your dad, Mr. O'Brien, was the fact that it was like 1 or 2 in the morning.
Yeah.
And I was just watching Joey. We were like in this game, and we were in a mannequin place. Like I think it was a mall or something.
Yeah, there's a level in the mall where there's mannequins. Yeah, it's the scariest level in the game for sure. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and he turned around, and there weren't mannequins there when we walked by. But when he turned around, there were mannequins surrounding us. We both screamed bloody murder, and his dad, your dad, came up, or he yelled from downstairs, and I was like, "Oh, okay, cool. I think we need to. I think I need to go
there.
home." Yeah, it
that's
ended.
probably, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's like a really common and something I used to like to do more was, I think playing horror games by yourself. I don't know if there's a big audience for that. I don't know that many people that are like, yeah, I just play every horror game that comes out. But I had a friend in Texas, or have a friend in Texas that when Alien Isolation came out, that was a pretty popular horror game that came out.
Oh yeah.
And he and I would play that, like when I was over at his house, we played a little bit and like would trade back and forth who had the controller. And it's so much more fun when you have someone else there with you, because the reality is if you're sitting in the dark playing the game by yourself and you get freaked out, how do you calm down after that?
Oh, you don't.
But if you have a friend there laughing, it's like it mellows it out. And I think you get that feeling when you're watching someone playing a scary game.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Do you remember Fatal Frame?
I never
PlayStation.
played it, but yeah, I know what you're talking about.
I tried playing that by myself when I was younger. Oh no, thank you.
Yeah.
Bye.
Yeah.
Saw somebody being
awesome.
crucified on the ceiling because I couldn't figure out where there's a ghost somewhere here. I looked up. Somebody's being crucified by these hands and ghosts. I'm like, oh, okay, we'll turn off the system. Never
Yeah,
playing this
okay,
game.
good, yeah.
Return it to
Yeah.
Best Buy.
Yeah, the whole
Not
thing's
Best Buy,
haunted now.
Blockbuster.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to the new Assassin's Creed. Creed.
Valhalla,
Losing
right?
it.
Valhalla, right? Did you play Odyssey?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got, again, I started playing it. I played for like, I think 40 or 50 hours. That game is huge. It's
Thank you so much
enormous.
for saying that.
I could not finish it.
It's
Yeah.
the biggest map I've ever encountered.
So here's what I think happened with Assassin's. This is what I think about Ubisoft and Assassin's Creed. Like A tier, S tier developers, they do a great job. The games are really good. They're high quality. Like not meant as a slight on them at all, but it feels like they have so many people working on the game, and they are capable of producing so much content because they used to make these games every year, right? I think they recently did switch to a 2-year cadence. And when you look at this game, it looks like what happened is they were in the middle of making an Assassin's Creed game set in Greece, right? And they're like, this is going to be great. It's going to be awesome. And then at some point in their development, they started playing The Witcher 3. And they're like, man, this game is sweet. And so they just copied a bunch of stuff Witcher 3, which is no slight because every game copies from other games. And they put it in their game, which is great still, but it made the game fucking huge. And so it's like, what do you want to do? Do you want to go hunt a bear? You got that. You want to fucking pilot a ship? We got that. You can fight in ships. You want to assassinate a guy? We got that. You want to shoot a bow? We got that. You want some cool shield combat? We got that. What, you want to hunt down some mercenaries? We got that. Fight in an arena? We got that too. You want a story? We got that. You want dialogue trees? We got that. It was like,
Yeah.
oh my God, they had everything in the game, which is like an achievement from a like development perspective that they got all of this into the game and it all works and it's all relatively cohesive. But man, the game is huge. And I think like for a grown adult, your like sweet spot of game hours in a game is less than 40. Whereas when I was a teenager, if it was only 40 hours, I was disappointed. So teenager Kevin would have loved Odyssey, right? Because I just had time for, I had so much time.
You guys were so lucky. I was so jealous of you and Joey.
Yeah.
I'll say that. I've never said it out loud.
Because we had the console?
No, I wasn't like a malicious jealousy, but I was like, I wish I had that much free time because I had to go. I was in rehearsals and
Yeah.
rep every day
Yeah.
till 5,
Yeah.
and then I would have to go help my dad in the store.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Yeah, we didn't do that.
I don't.
Joe and
have
I
that.
worked, but not as much, I think, right? We
Yeah.
just like waited tables, and then we would just like quit when we were tired of working. We just do that. I did rep last year of high school,
Yeah.
but I was not, I was not on your level of rep. I was just like, I was in the category of rep where I'm pretty sure, because I got into rep on a prank, right? I'm pretty sure that Powell just knew that I would like work hard and I would not be disruptive and I would help move things along. And I think he's very wise in that he would try and get a nice structure in his classes of rep. He didn't just look for like who's the star, who's the whatever. He would look for like who's going to work hard, who's going to keep things going. I need some number of those. I can think of other people in my class that were like that. Summer is kind of like that, right? There's people that are going to keep stuff moving. They're going to be really always helpful and productive. And some people who are going to like really like go all out on the performance aspect of it. He got like a mix.
Yeah.
And I was definitely in I'm just going to be reliable category.
You are reliable.
Yeah. It's one of my things.
You are.
Yeah.
I gotta say now is an official time to say I'm sorry to you. And I didn't technically do it, but I was there and I didn't do anything to stop it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whenever Joey lit your hair on fire while you were playing video games.
Yeah. He told that story at my wedding, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Dude, I apologize.
No, it's okay. And so what Wesam is referencing here is, the setup we had in our room was like, there's a TV on like a desk or whatever, and then maybe this far away is the chair we're sitting in, hence how Joe could kick the TV. And then there's my bed was like right behind that. So it's really pretty tight. And so I'm playing Halo and, I think it was Halo 2, maybe Halo 3, I don't remember. And I just gotten done playing a game, and this guy was, as you do, shit-talking a lot. He's calling me bad and saying 1v1 me, bro, etc., as you do. And so, of course, being a teenager, I was like, yeah, let's do it. And I was in a 1v1 against this guy trying to, like, flex on him. And I was dominating him. I was doing great.
You were.
And Joe and Wesam were sitting behind me with a lighter, just kind of flicking it behind me. I didn't really know. I'm not looking, right? I'm focusing. And while I'm in the middle of playing, and I'm like killing this guy, and I'm in the middle of a gunfight with this guy, Joe just starts beating on the back of my head.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what are you doing? As I'm killing the guy, I still killed the guy. And he's like, oh, I lit your hair on fire. So I was like beating it out. But he told that story at my wedding because he said, yeah, he's a really focused kind of person.
Well, I blame that a little bit on you because
Okay. I'm interested. This apology is really flipping around here.
Yeah, because I'm thinking about it more, and
Yeah.
it's actually more on you. You had like longer hair.
I did.
A
Yeah.
lot longer hair actually.
My fault for having long hair that it was caught on
It
fire.
was a little oily, and I don't know if that,
Yeah.
made it more flammable. I don't know if human hair oil.
Well, you know how we could.
I'm calling it human hair oil. Is
You know
more
how we
flammable.
could make this even, I think, and then I could accept your apology, given your additional statements here.
Yeah.
Well, we could test lighting your hair on fire,
Dude.
and see how flammable it is right now. We could just get out a lighter and just give it a little flambe, right?
What do you think I'd do?
I don't know.
I'm a TV actor.
Okay.
You gonna destroy this luscious head of hair?
Well, if it's not oily, it won't catch, right? That's.
you know what? Peyton will be my stand-in. Peyton?
All right, that's fine. Yeah.
No. What? Oh man! I also remember you guys had the most awesome furniture at your house.
Did we?
Yeah, it was like very like modern, a little bit of Japanese influence.
Yeah, I guess we did have pretty good furniture.
Yeah, and then your window in your room, I put Wesam was here, my initials, and it was there for years because you never washed your windows.
No, I didn't want to forget.
Yeah, that's fair.
Never forget.
I had lots of good memories in that home, hanging out with you guys, man.
Yeah, that was good times.
It was a lot of good times. I remember your dad's BMW, how it was always super clean. I've never seen a car that clean all the time.
Yeah, he had instructions on how to open the doors and the trunk. We had to follow specific instructions. If you open the doors, you had to open the handle like this from the inside, so you wouldn't get fingerprints on the handle, and you had to close it from the top little edge there, where the weather seal is. And same thing on the inside. You had to close it carefully. And when you open the trunk, you open it, and when you go to close it, you need to put your hands on the license plate to close it. You can't touch because you don't want to get fingerprints on it. That was what he said. Because for him, you got to understand, though, for him, you know, at the time he bought that BMW, he was in his 50s, I think, or maybe even his 60s. I think his 50s, and he'd never owned a new car in his life, right? And so it was a big deal that he was, like, finally in a place where he could do that. And so he was very meticulous. And then, you know, unfortunately, it turned out that it was a huge pain in the ass because BMWs are the most expensive to maintain car you can imagine.
Oh my gosh.
He would talk about, you know, I had to get the battery replaced. I couldn't just get any battery. I had to get some special BMW battery that cost, you know, $800 or something, right? That kind of thing. So he ended up selling it. Yeah.
Did you ever once just like put a fingerprint right in the middle of the windshield?
No.
Like just one oil.
I would never. That's a Joey kind of thing, you know. Yeah, you could make a whole podcast of me just telling stories of Joey's high school exploits. They could be.
I can't.
There's a lot of content.
There's no.
Oh, because you're involved in them. Well, I don't know the ones with you involved. I know
some of them. I don't want to ruin. They're not going to ruin your life, but they're very personal stories.
Yeah.
So it's best that we don't.
No, mine wouldn't be anything like that. I think mine
No,
are more
yours?
like
No.
the younger brother perspective. Yeah.
No, you were an angel compared to what me and Joey did.
Yeah.
I got to say this. I want to thank God for not letting me be born during a time where there was social media.
Yeah, true. You'd be screwed.
Oh.
A lot of memory. You just saying that statement, so many memories flooded into my mind where I'm like,
oh man.
I'm like starting to count.
Some inappropriate things. And I'm going to go, you know what? I'm glad I grew up and matured.
You'd be in that position that I think a lot of comedians are in.
Excuse me?
A lot of comedians are in. No, not that position.
Oh.
No, where they're like, yeah, I made these jokes and they were insensitive jokes at the time.
Yeah.
I'm apologizing for that. I think you definitely in high school deeply disregarded the line a lot. In the pursuit of humor. In the pursuit of humor, to your credit. You know, some people say stepped over the line, edged the line, towed the line. You perhaps stepped over the line, danced around on it, urinated on the line, said, hey, who cares about this line anyway? Continued walking.
Right.
Came back, took a dump on the line, and then continued on from time to time.
I love the way you phrased that. I disregarded what?
Disregarded the line.
I disregarded the line.
Yeah,
because I was an idiot.
Yeah.
In the pursuit of humor, because I was an idiot and I was young.
Let's clarify.
It was all jokes, nothing like physical or anything like. Yeah, it's
yeah.
just like literally jokes.
Yeah.
Oh God, no.
Oh no.
No. It sucks that I have to go. No.
Yeah, we can't even joke about. I think and it's a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff comes to mind.
I'm just
but it's,
thankful.
in the pursuit of humor, and to clarify, by the way, everyone's an idiot when they're a teenager. If you can honestly look back on yourself and like picture yourself as a teenager and think like, I had it all together, I was doing pretty great.
Yeah.
You are conceited and deceiving yourself.
Oh,
no way.
No.
I think about myself as a teenager and like, you're like talking about pursuing humor and making jokes and disregarding the line, right? For me, it was like I just argue with people about dumb shit. And now that I'm older, I'm like, man, what a waste of time. Why are you trying to take away joy from people by proving you're right? It's so stupid.
That's a great point. And I think knowing when to do certain things and other times and just kind of inciting people to have a negative feeling about something is very interesting. Right now in France, and I'm not trying to make this a political or a religious kind of debate, but I just feel like I would like for people to think about things before they do them. And I want to say this, just because you have the freedom to do something doesn't necessarily mean that it will create a positive effect for you to do whatever you want. And I'll give this example. In the Islamic religion, it's forbidden to draw the Prophet Muhammad.
Yeah.
Okay. And for some people in France, they're saying, no, it's my freedom to draw whatever I want, and I'm going to draw him. And I'm going to draw him in compromising situations.
Yeah.
And they retaliate by doing something totally insane, by killing people, innocent people, and trying to kill them in the process. Now, the action of, like retaliating with something so horrific is so wrong and insane.
Yeah. It's unconscionable. Yeah.
Really, it really is. They drew something, and it had no effect on you, and this is what you're gonna do. Like,
Yeah.
That's totally not logically makes sense, regardless
You're
of your
skipping
beliefs.
several hundred steps of resolution in between. Yeah.
Absolutely, and also for the people, it's like, you know what? What do I gain by drawing this prophet and this joke right now? Does it really gain me anything?
Yeah.
No, you're just trying to.
You're basically
It's-
you're needling at the religion of billions of people that are, I would say, like, at a disadvantage to you in the first place.
Right.
And it's kind of, it's a little disrespectful. Yeah.
It is, because the majority of people, of Muslims who see that go, whoa, that's kind of really offensive to my really
Yeah.
personal spiritual belief, and you're not like gaining anything from it. You're just drawing a
Yeah.
picture, and like, can you not do that? Like,
Yeah.
it's like, wow, like for the people drawing the picture, and in my position, I'd be like, you know, I have the freedom to do this, but dude, this is gonna cause so much trouble. This is gonna hurt so many people's feelings, and they're gonna look at me in a negative result, and it might cause more negative things down the line that I can't even see yet. So you know what? I don't really need to draw this picture right now.
Yeah.
And I think people forget about that.
Well,
I just
think
wanted to
there's-
say that out loud, because I was seeing a lot of postings about that and stuff like that. Again,
think there's
I don't
like
agree with
a-
killing people for drawing something either.
Well,
That's
yeah,
fucking
obviously.
insane.
I think that what you're talking about, though, is like there's a place where you can do something, but like, should you do something, right? And just because you're allowed to do something doesn't mean that doing that doesn't make you an asshole, right? And that's like, I don't know, it's like a really reductive way to think about it, but it's like, hey, it's just kind of an asshole thing to do. Like, why, right?
Yeah.
And like, to be fair to those people who like make those drawings, they probably are thinking like, hey, this is a great way to sort of rebel or to speak out against something I view to be bad, and that's fine. So I don't know if that's like the example I would like hang my hat on, but there's plenty of examples of people who are just in day-to-day life is like almost an easier example, where like needlessly sniping at people is something that like I definitely did in high school, and I don't do that anymore because
I've never
it's a
done
waste,
that in high school.
It's a waste of emotional energy.
I've never done that in high school.
Oh no, you're an angel.
I was horrible, Peyton. I was so horrible. There's a couple things that I wish I could meet the people. I would be like, listen, man, I was an asshole to you, and I apologize. Just for not even like, not necessarily even a bullying kind of thing. It's just, again, causing. I love shock humor still, and I think I
Yeah.
didn't understand the balance of when to do shock humor with who to do with, and that kind of stuff. I mean, our text message chain sometimes is shock humor. It is shock humor at times. It's very.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you pitched a game that's shock humor, arguably. Yeah.
It's so family friendly. You're
Launching
pushing your
a
kid.
premature baby out of a car is.
They're preemies. They have the same rights apparently, right? Is that a sensitive subject?
They probably have good flight velocity.
I don't know. They're light.
They'd have to,
You need some weight. You need some good
they'd probably
power.
fall slower. Yeah.
You doing okay? I saw you unplugging things.
It finally died.
Okay,
I'm
all right.
surprised it lasted this long.
All right, no guys. I'll buy us I was at Costco. I should have bought a pack of AA batteries. But if we're good, if we need some more, let me know. Yeah, this is the stuff people want to listen to on air. Costco shopping for batteries, by the
Yeah,
way.
that makes sense. Yeah, I see it.
We're not editing this out, by the way.
Oh,
this
yeah.
this stays in.
Literally, I assume there's just no editing at all.
None.
Just straight cut
No.
the whole thing.
Yeah.
Stopping it.
Guys' night,
This guy's night get.
fuckers.
It gets more editing.
It's Isaiah's fault.
It is Isaiah.
He said, I'm not going to say it, don't worry. He just, again, shock humor, and we've
Yeah.
had a few drinks, and let's just say if you were there, you would probably want to get up and leave to keep your job.
Yeah.
By the way, I got to say this. It's not the word that people think we said,
Yeah.
which was so much worse than what was actually said, which was still bad. But because of Jonte's reaction, it sounded so horrible. Jonte's a black guy in our group.
Okay.
Yeah. The black guy in our group is our friend.
Yeah, I didn't. I was gonna let you work that one out. I was like, he'll get there.
We have to have him in our friend group.
I was trying to explain to Kevin, who doesn't know
Why
he's,
the context?
He's black.
I understand
Yeah,
what you're
he's
saying.
black.
Yeah,
but
why
it
the
came
context
out.
if his reaction is relevant over someone
He's
else's
the black
reaction.
guy
Yeah,
in our group.
I follow. I think. Yeah.
Dude, You know how when we went to Japan together, it was me, Jonte, and Isaiah.
Oh yeah.
I kept introducing him. I would introduce like us like this. I'd be like, "Hi, my name is Wesam. That's my friend Isaiah, and this is my assistant Jonte." And so he had to keep saying, "No, I'm their friend."
It's messed up, man.
Would you expect anything less from me?
No,
No,
definitely not.
dude. This has been a lot of fun. I'm trying to think. Was there anything else we wanted to hit on? Did we hit everything?
I don't know. We just kind of we kind of spiraled off there, away from video games, which is it's fine.
We're talking.
But yeah, really, anything else that comes to mind, I kind of an open book.
Yeah, the video game testing we talked about. By the way, Riot Games, I got a shout out to them. They're your campus that you work on. I remember visiting it.
Oh yeah. We had you out. What was that like? God, that was like 4 years ago, maybe. That you came out.
4 years ago, yes,
I think
it was.
4 years ago. Yeah.
Amazing campus, man.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
treat you guys well
great.
there.
Yeah, we're really. I mean, we're all working from home now, but yeah, it's really nice. It's a very standard sort of tech industry fair where there's snacks and kitchens and all that kind of stuff. I remember distinctly one thing that you reacted to really strongly was we're kind of walking around. We have these little like kitchens around the campus. You can go in. There's like cereal and snacks and drinks and stuff. Not like alcohol, but like like Coke and Coca-Cola. It's a hard job. And we kind of walk in and I'm like showing him like, oh yeah, there's some stuff that we have. And I was like, oh yeah, and there's like an ice maker. And I kind of like open this thing. It's like an ice maker. And Wesam is like, what? Wait, crushed? You have crushed ice? And you like lost? I've never seen a human being react so strongly to ice before. And he had like a cup with him. I don't know, remember where you came from, like In-N-Out or something. And you're like, can I get something? And he filled his entire cup with just crushed ice. And he's like, you can't get this in LA. You can't get good ice in LA. And I was like, what are you talking about? You can't get good ice in LA?
You can't.
Yeah, that really stuck in my memory that you were like, you really wowed by the crushed ice machine.
I forgot about that completely. That's hilarious.
Yeah, you were wowed by it.
But I love crushed ice. Gosh.
I got that. Yeah, I got that.
There's something about good crushed ice. I even do a thing where I freeze orange juice or apple juice in the freezer, and I'll just chip away at it until it becomes like this soft, fluffy consistency, and perfect summertime snack, man. But crushed ice, when you got that perfect, it's like that perfect hard to soft ratio.
It's like about pea-sized little crushed ice. Yeah. Yeah, it's good crushed ice. I'm not going to say it's not. I just...
my gosh.
Usually most people, they're like, oh, yeah.
That's what I'm going to have when I'm rich. A great crushed ice maker. Would you like some crushed ice? Like, that's what I'm going to offer people. No drinks, just crushed ice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's a winning idea.
Maybe Riot, if you have an extra crushed ice maker,
yeah,
send it over.
I mean, they're definitely not using them right now. There's just nobody there. It's pretty much empty, so.
You know them there, so
yeah,
let me know.
I'll hit them up.
If they want,
Yeah, I've not yet been able to leverage my job at Riot to get free stuff, like free like hardware.
Okay, that's fine.
Because like I work with like graphics card companies and stuff a lot,
Yeah.
and so like recently a new graphics card came out from NVIDIA, the like 3000 series. It's like the new hottest best graphic card, and yeah, I thought about trying to pull my connections to get one for free, but I decided it would be a little unethical, so I did not.
You're a good person.
Yeah. And I'm really upset about it.
Yeah.
Having ethics it's rough. It's overrated. It's overrated sometimes. It's a long run strategy.
Can I tell you a story? How much it sucks?
Yeah.
There was a guy at the car wash, and it's the self-service one where you wash your car, and then you drive off to somewhere else, and you're supposed to dry it right in front of there. You don't dry it there because there's people waiting to use that station.
Right. Yeah.
This guy was drying his car in the station.
It's a little rude. Yeah.
And he saw me.
Yeah.
And he kept doing it.
Locked eye contact.
Yeah. So you know what I did? I went into the stall next to him that opened up because he was taking so long.
Yeah.
And I waited. Till he went by because he had to make a right turn and he had to pass me. And as soon as he went by, I moved my sprayer to the right. And I got his car good. But you know what happened afterwards? He left. I didn't feel good about it.
You probably felt bad.
I felt bad, and I hate that I felt bad.
Yeah.
I hate it.
Yeah. Having scruples is rough. It's yeah.
I hate
You're
being
just
a good
punished
person.
by yourself. Yeah. I think it's the thing I always say is like, I don't know. Summer and I talk about this a lot of like, I don't know, just like ethics in general as
Yep.
you do. And to me, it's always like your long run reward is worth it because people around you over time recognize that like ethical behavior, that you're an upstanding person, that you're true to your word, whatever, and that will pay dividends. Even though in the short term it makes things harder because you have to, tell somebody the honest truth that you let them down, or you have to be honest that you failed about something. But in the long run, it's worth it. But every single time you're faced with that, do I spray this guy's car or do I just like let him drive by? You really just want to spray the guy's car. You really just want to do it, right? I think that's like, it's tough.
You know what?
Yeah.
I think that's where we're gonna end it on.
Don't spray people's cars.
Yeah, we're gonna end it on a good ethical note. And I think that's important for the show because we rarely talk about it.
I was gonna say, is this in contrast with typical endings of the show? You don't usually talk about ethics very much.
I mean, technically, we don't.
Do you demonstrate good ethics on the show?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
He tries.
Yeah. Hey, that's part of the whole thing.
I don't like that. You know what?
No,
Let's just
yeah,
end
we're
it.
good. Yeah. All right. Well, that's great.
Nonsense, and then he's like, listen, think, then talk. Tries to sound like the good guy at the end.
Thanks for coming on the show, Kevin.
Happy to be here. It was fun.
And do you want people to check out your Twitch stream, or is that private, or if you
I mean, I don't know. I have a Twitter. You can just Google Kevin O Brien Riot. I'll show up. It's qualifier.
Cool.
Like a koala.
Cool. And then on Instagram? No Instagram.
It's there, but there's nothing there. So why bother?
I love that. Are you on Facebook or no?
No.
Okay. I'm just trying to see if people want to follow you, but we'll just tell them to go to your Twitter,
Yeah.
and if they want to check out your Twitch, it's linked on there. Kevin O'Brien from Riot Games. Dude, seriously, thanks so much for coming on.
Yeah,
and
great.
We'd love to have you back. And honestly, if Riot has some upcoming games or whatever, and you and somebody else wants to come on talk about the upcoming game, you guys are more than welcome to come back on the show and talk it up. Peyton, play us out. Thank you, everybody who's tuned in. Thank you to all of our new subscribers. We appreciate you guys. Thank you, Adobe Radio, Nice Guy Digital. Thank you, Peyton, for all the hard work you're doing on the show. Thank you, Alexandra Gorski, for all your social media prowess. We really appreciate you and all the graphics that you've been doing. Thank you to Kevin for coming on. Thank you to Riot Games for continuing to produce such awesome games. And what else? Thank you to you guys. We have a bunch of new subscribers on YouTube. We appreciate you, and Instagram followers. And yeah, always remember to listen, think, and then talk.